Welcome to Encounter Wargaming. I'm Jay, and today we're going to be building some Truescale Space Marines. Alright, so here's the predicament I'm in. Basically, Adam and I, when Shadowspear came out, Adam and I each got one and we, switched halves. So basically, I have double the Shadowspear set. Now, my Iron Warriors army is my existing Chaos army. I used to have a Night Lord's army, but I recently sold those off. Wish I hadn't, but I did, nonetheless, because I needed the money. And so my Iron Warriors is basically my main Chaos army. I have a Nurgle army as well, but they're still being fixed up. But anyway, I built my Iron Warriors army for 30k originally, for Horus Heresy. I figured I would do Iron Warriors because not only are they awesome, but they're super easy to paint, and it was tactically very different from my existing Night Lord or Nurgle army. So I wanted to do something new that was tactically different. Anyway, now I did build the Iron Warriors to work in both games, but both games used to use the same rule set, and they used to use the same scale of Marines. Now, basically scale creep is upon us, and in 8th edition we have the advent of Primaris. As well, like I say, I've got 2 sets of the Shadowspear, and the Marines are just way too big. So my 3 full tactical squads that I have of Mark IV armor in my Iron Warriors army just look really freaking tiny in comparison to the other Chaos Space Marines that I got in the Shadowspear set. Plus, the last couple tournaments I went to, I fielded, 5-man squads of Space Marines, and that seems to be the min-max situation you kind of want to go for. With the Shadowspear set, I was able to make 2 5-man units, actually 6-man units technically, to be used as 5-man units, because then I have a plasma gun option and the autocannon option. What I'm trying to do today is I'm trying to build that 3rd unit so that I can maximize that Red Corsairs detachment to basically have 3 min-maxed units of Chaos Space Marines and not have one of them just a completely different scale than the other 2 units. Because, quite frankly, I don't want to buy a whole box of 10 Chaos Space Marines when I have pieces in my collection that are not currently being used, when I can very simply put them together and use them. Basically, we're going to take in Cataphractii Terminators, a unit that I have of pure lightning claws that I probably am never going to use in 30k and definitely never use in 40k because Terminators just freaking suck nowadays. And I'm going to take a bunch of the Mark III Space Marines that I have left over from a prior project. But I really just used the helmets and a few of the torsos, a couple of shoulder pads. I didn't really use much. So if I want to build another unit of 6, I've got more than 6 Mark III bodies. As well, I switched out a few of the heads on my Shadowspear set, so I've still got the Chaos Space Marine, the current Chaos Space Marine heads from Shadowspear, which I'm going to put on these. And then, like I said, I got the Cataphractii armor, and I'm going to show you in a minute exactly how the Cataphractii fit into that. So yeah, I mean, that's basically where I'm at. That's why I've decided to do this the way I'm doing it. And I'm hoping that you guys out there who have a bunch of old miniatures kicking around that don't really measure up, no pun intended, maybe the pun was intended, but don't really measure up to the current scale of things in 40k. It's very easy to find ways around that, and that's what I'm here to show you today. This is the easiest conversion you will probably ever do, and 'cause it's really just a torso swap. But there is a few nuances and little tips and tricks to try and figure it out, so that's what I'm showing you guys today. It's not gonna be a long one, but it's gonna be an important one, so stay tuned. So before we start, I just want to basically show you guys head on what this is all about. So basically here, I've got my Mark IV Space Marines that I originally assembled for my Horus Heresy army, for my Iron Warriors army. And then here, of course, is the Marines from the Shadowspear box, which I am building for my 40k Iron Warriors army, because when I originally built this army, I intended it to be for both games. Now the games have separated, but anyway, we won't get into that. And then here is the Truescale Space Marine that we are going to be converting today. So basically, I just wanted to show you guys the difference in scale here and why this is necessary. So as you can see, this guy's sitting on a piece of cork. That's only because these bases, I didn't actually do the cork bases, whereas with my 40k, my newer 40k stuff from Iron Warriors, I've been putting on the cork bases. So because each of these guys are standing on a base and a layer of cork, I wanted to really show you the height difference, and if I didn't put this piece of cork here, obviously he would be much shorter than he actually is in comparison to the others. So, looking at it dead on, I mean, I'm sure you can see already that this Marine is like another whole head taller than this Marine. Now, when comparing the pieces together, I mean, the arms are pretty much the same scale, the shoulder pads are the same scale, the helmets are the same scale, even the backpacks are the same scale. The bolter is just a touch bigger, which whatever, that's okay. Because these bolters I ended up using from the Mark III set are actually a little bit longer than the ones from the Mark IV set, if you can see there. So, it kind of works out. And, what was my next point? My next point was, basically, the legs are taller, and the torso is just a touch bigger. Like, not even very much at all. You can almost switch out the torsos with other kits if you really wanted to. But like I say, everything else is exactly the same scale. So really, we're just changing the legs, which is what this guy is here. So, as I will explain in the next few steps, basically, we're just going to supplement the Mark III legs with the Cataphracti Terminator legs. It's really that easy. That is pretty much all we're doing. Okay. And then our new conversion pretty much lines up perfectly. He doesn't look weird, you know, like fits right in with these Marines. So there you go. It's really that quick of a fix. Let's just start building this guy. Alright, for this build, what we're going to use today is going to be some, here's some Cataphracti Terminator armor. Now, obviously I've started to paint this guy, but I actually purchased these from a friend, so I didn't assemble these myself. And I realized that I don't really have need for Lightning Claw Terminators in my army, especially in 8th edition, nowadays when Terminators actually aren't that great anyway. And on top of that, my buddy forgot to add the second layer of shoulder pads, so they do look kind of funny, and I don't really have room for them in my 30k army or my 40k army, so I figured, you know what, as I explained in the intro, I have those models from the Shadow Spear, and yeah, it's just not enough, and I don't want to go buy a whole box of Marines for a 6-man unit. So I have 5 of these Cataphracti Terminators, and then I have the Cataphracti character, which I'm going to modify into my unit of 5 with special weapon and heavy weapon able to sub out. So anyway, long story short, I've found that the Cataphracti Terminator is actually perfect for adding on to the Mark III armor. So here I have the Terminator from the Betrayal at Kelth set, and then here I have the remainder of a unit of Mark III from the what the hell was it? Burning of Prospero set. So, I actually purchased these to use pieces for my Space Marine army, but then I realized I didn't use the torsos, so I've got all these legs and torsos and stuff left over. Now, sadly, I won't have to use the legs today, but one of the great things about the Cataphracti army and why it's going to blend in fine with the Mark III torsos and stuff is just simply because these legs. Take a look. Look at the back of them. They have all those weird little ridges and stuff. Now on the front, of course, they have this knee pad, which doesn't match the Terminator, because the Terminator actually has a flat knee pad, as you can see, with like a chevron shape on there. But the back, there you go, it's got all those little, oh, push it around, it's got all those little, like, sections, as opposed to like a solid back, right? So that's what we're going to work with today. I am still going to need this sprue, though, because it has hands on it. But anyway, so if you're dealing with these fresh out of the box, you're actually probably in a lot better situation than I'm in, but in this case I'm taking an existing Mini and I'm going to have to tear it apart. So really all I'm using is the lower torso, but you want to make sure that, if you can see in here, there's like these little pipes. You don't want to cut directly at the waist. I'm going to want to cut a little bit above, you know, maybe basically where that is. Now a lot of these I can just kind of break off because my buddy actually used super glue. Let's see what I can do. Oops, I just broke his leg in half. It's okay, we're gluing this guy back together anyway, right? So I'm going to take my knife, a nice big knife in this case, because I want to make sure I'm able to cut through it. Maybe I'll just break off these lightning claws just so I don't damage them and I can use them for a later project. So right now I'm just going to line it up right, and yeah. So for a rule of thumb, let's say if you're using these pipes as a guide, there's like all these little sections to the pipes, right? I probably want to leave 2, maybe 3 sections of the pipe, and the rest is going to go bye-bye. So let's do that.
Blowing hot ash out the door, like 1,000 fireworks of 1,000 fireworks before.
Separated. Check it out. So, like I said, I basically just left a little bit of that midsection. We're going to need that to create the height for this Marine. And luckily, it's actually pretty detailed all the way around. Unlike the normal Chaos and Loyal Terminators for 40k, they usually have those little plates along the side here. I don't know what to call them. They're like little hip plates that cover the sort of part of the leg. These guys don't. So it's actually really perfect to use for the Mark III armor. Anyway, I broke that apart. I'm going to have to glue that back on. But first off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Mark III. There they are, all those beautiful chest plates. And I'm going to put together a torso. So let's do that. Alright, now this is where we have to watch out for proportions and how bits are going to get in the way of each other and stuff like that. So if you see, I put this on right now because of this loincloth thing here. And the metal sort of bit that goes down over the crotch of the Mark III Marines. I can't exactly line this up. If you notice on the back there, the ass is not lined up with the back of the belt. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to break this little loincloth thing off. Without actually breaking it. Nice, came off nice and easy. Perfect. Now I mentioned these pipes on the front of them, how you're using those as a guide. Those will actually get in the way of this little thing. So I want to keep this little armor plate thing on there. So as you can see, that will also get in the way. So I'm just going to trim that off with my knife quickly. And then, yeah, that's just going to glue on perfectly right there. And if you can see from the front, that the legs don't look too big for the torso. They actually look quite perfect. And you'll see once all the other bits are on, and I compare to the other Marines, how perfect this is actually going to be. So let's glue that together.
The fire's still burning, just frozen brains. The wheel's still turning, we got frozen brains, and nothing seems to change.
Right, so there is the basic body of our Marine, ready to go. Now, I do still have this loincloth piece that I took off, and I do kind of want to put it on, because even though this piece on the Mark III hangs down, as you can see, on a normal Marine it would cover his crotch. On this, it doesn't. Plus, I think these like little loinclothy things actually add a really cool detail to it. So now that this guy's glued together and he's nice and sturdy, I'm actually going to want to cut into this weird little armor plate. Whoops, at least part way through. So this loincloth piece would normally be like belt level, right? But I might want to go a little below. So if you see here where the, I should say where the belt of the Terminator is, not where the belt of the Marine torso is, but like down here, instead of it being lined up with it like that, I'm actually going to put it just slightly below it. So that's going to require cutting off these bottom 2 rivets on this armored plate, which again now you should leave till this stage, because you don't know until you actually glue it on where along this armor plate we're going to be cutting off that little tiny bit. Otherwise I would have done it before I put it on the legs. But anyway, right now I'm just going to line it up with sort of the bottom of that Terminator belt. And just softly, carefully give it a little chop. There you go. Once I feel it go through, I should be good. Excellent. Get that bit off there. It's got a little bit of crazy glue on it. And yeah, we're going to glue that piece on.
Isn't it funny how everything works out?
How's that look? Pretty sweet, right? Now, the one last thing we really have to worry about on this is this sort of back waist area here. Is sort of hips, I guess, is the better way to put it rather than waist. Because as you can see, I've got a belt for the Terminator, and then I've got a belt line for the Space Marine torso, and it looks really weird from the back. And even when you put a backpack on, you're still going to see all this. So to cover that, we're basically just going to use all those little sort of accessory bits that no one ever puts on their freaking Space Marines. First of all, Lately I've been trying to keep with, like, Space Marines are automatically armed with a bolter and a bolt pistol in 40k. And a lot of people don't model the pistol on there at all. I want to make sure I'm in the habit of always doing that. Especially in 30k I got into a habit of doing that because my Marines carry a bolter, bolt pistol, and a close combat weapon. Like the Chaos Marines used to in 40k, but for some reason aren't allowed to do anymore. It's one or the other. I'm gonna take this weird little Chaos bit right here. It's got a nice pistol on it. Nice hanging, I don't know, piece of flesh or something that he's taken off one of his enemies and is wearing as a accessory now. I'm gonna use it to cover, if you can see here, there's just that weird little cut line between, like I say, the leg of the Terminator and the torso of the Marine. So I'm going to basically use this kind of stuff to cover all that. So here I'm going to put this pistol, covers perfectly, right? Other things, we've got these cool little bolter clips that come on the Mark III sprue. Amazing, love this detail, I'm definitely using that. And then of course we've got things like frag grenades and crack grenades and stuff, these little things that come on your Space Marine sprue, again, that no one ever puts on their models. I'm going to use those to basically go around and cover this entire midsection with random accessories. So let's do that. Alright, so now that our Marine has that weird indiscrepancy covered by bits, plus he looks amazingly accessorized, basically it's just putting it together the way you would a normal Marine. So at this point I'm just going to put on his arms, a bolter, head, backpack. I don't need to show you how to do that, so we're just going to skip right to the finished product. And there he is, our Truescale Chaos Space Marine. As you can see, it doesn't look weird at all, which was really surprising for me when I first prototyped this. I was like, wow, those legs actually look proper. And if you hold them up to an existing Shadow Spear Marine, I mean, I showed you guys in the intro the difference, but now let's actually check out the one we actually made today. They're exactly the right height. Boom. Now as you can see, their waists don't entirely line up. Actually, that's pretty damn close, and luckily with all these accessories on there, it sort of fudges the line a bit, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's how easy it is, guys, to take your old mini Marines, as people are calling them, and taking your old Cataphracti Terminators, which suck in the new edition, and turning them into some awesome Truescale Chaos Space Marines, just to keep up with the new scale creep. So I hope you all enjoyed that video. I had a lot of fun doing that, and this squad is going to look absolutely amazing alongside all the other cool Shadow Spear stuff that I have, and as new stuff comes out, we're going to have to adapt, right guys? It's just the way it is. But guys like myself like to find ways to MacGyver things out of existing things they already have, rather than buying all the new stuff, because let's face it, we don't just have endless supplies of money, right? Shit don't grow on trees. So, enough rambling out of me. If you guys like this video, please hit the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Also, if you want to help support us, help keep the ball rolling around here, head to our Spreadshirt page and pick yourself up a t-shirt, a hat, or any other kind of memorabilia with our awesome logo on it, and it gives us a couple of bucks to help, like I say, keep things moving. Also, an even better way, and the way we basically are able to keep doing this, is our Patreon. So if you guys are so inclined, please help us out. Head to the description below, check out our Patreon link. For as little as $1 a video, $1 a month, whatever you want to donate, it gets you a whole bunch of extra stuff. It gets you videos early, as well as a whole bunch of other perks, which are all listed on that page. And it gives us basically the funding we need to do this. So help us out, check out Patreon. Otherwise, just make sure you comment, like, and subscribe at the very least, because that helps us so much. And we'll see you at our next encounter.
Like a monkey in a rocket on his way back home. Okay.